Well, hello. Everybody welcome. Welcome to Octoberland. Hey guys, let's bring the entire band up here. We're about to hear the album. You're about to become the first people to hear the album presented. This is Octoberland.
With the sizzle.
We're gonna. If you haven't and contributed some art to the art board, please do. We'd love to have all of you, from a doodle on up to the most elaborate thing by some of the incredibly talented artists in the room right now. That would be sweet, you know. Mr. John Borak, the drummer for the Armoires.
Larysa Bobenko, the violist for the Armoires.
The bassist for the Armoires. Christina Bobenko, vocals and keys, and ever so much more.
And Rex.
Oh, and Rex Broom. Guitars, vocals, and so much more.
Producer Michael Simmons over there, adding some art as well. He has had a hand in the visuals too. We'll introduce some of the other folks involved in the album. There are many of them here. The merch is all over here. If you like what you hear, hey, it's there in several different formats. And keep looking for crows, guys. There are now 9 out of 12 crows still remaining to be found in this room. Find a crow, get the prize that corresponds to the track that corresponds to the crow on the album. That's really confusing. This is great.
Also, I'd like to say that was good crow.
Good crow.
The little swag bags on the tables are yours to take home. There are also paper bags with a pumpkin on them. So anything on the table that you like, except for the candles, they belong to the bar. But the cats and the pumpkins and the leaves, all of that stuff, you can put in a bag.
Take a little bit of Octoberland home
and
with you.
If you buy a CD, you can put it in there too. And if you win the crow, that's yours too. So there's stuff to have.
Fork that I had was pretty nice. I want to
That's
win
the fork,
one.
yeah.
Fork was nice.
Folks, we're about to run a video reel of the album. This is going to start with...
Larysa was going to say, do not take home the silverware.
Do not.
Thank you for that.
Too late.
You can maybe buy it. I don't know. We'll see. We're about to look at the entire album. There are 3 official videos, one of which has never been seen before by basically anyone in the I
haven't seen it.
I haven't
Exactly.
seen it yet.
Yeah.
Most of the band has not seen that.
It's a really small, so we'll be seeing that one. There are cover art videos for everything else. It will be the whole album, the experience of the whole album.
And the storyboard artist is here, Andrew Edwards. Thank
Andrew
you
Edwards
so
here.
much for your
Of
work.
course, we have Michael Bobenko over here, who did much of the cinematography for the videos as well.
And who's documenting this very event as well.
Ridley Broom, who did the artwork for the album.
Hey,
Miranda Broom, who plays bass on one of the tracks. We'll cover all that later. A lot of the people that, the creative people are here, and we're really honored that they're here to share this, and we'll let you know what they've done. First thing you're going to see is what you call a sizzle reel or a trailer, sort of. This covers the entire album. It is a little bit of promo, so forgive us that, but it also really demonstrates how much all of these people, everyone that we just talked about, have put into this album, both on a creative level and in terms of getting it out there, because it's really hard to get music out into the world. We had to form a label to try to do it, So we did want to just take a moment to celebrate the fact that this album is already doing wonderful things for us. We're really proud of it, and you can get a look at a lot of the things that everyone's contributed to it. And then from there on out, side A, side B, an album as it's meant to be experienced, with visualizers. Actually, as it's meant to experience, it's probably the LP. But this is a really special presentation. Again, some stuff that's never been seen before. We're really proud to share it with you. Christina?
Oh, do add to the artboard.
Add to the art. Find some crows. Buy some merch. But most of all, enjoy the vibes. Welcome to Octoberland.
Thank you so much for being here.
How do we get by in this world? How do we navigate the unnavigable? Music and animals and a reason to smile. Ridley and me after the APOCAL, what we have seen. We're building
All right, everybody, we are going to start the conversation part of the party. Before I do that, how amazing does Octoberland sound? It really is a fantastic album. You guys should feel very proud of that. My name is S.W. Lauden. You can call me Steve. Well, everybody but Mike Simmons can call me Steve. You can call me Mr. Lauden. Yeah, that's right. You passed. I played drums in a Big Stir Records band called the Brothers Steve. I've also done a few compilation and reissue projects and book projects and magazine projects, and I really love working with the Big Star crew. So when they asked me to come here and have the honor of interviewing them on stage, I was very happy. It's a real pleasure to be here.
It's a real pleasure to have you here, Steve. And the talent abounds.
There's a lot of talent in this room today.
Yours.
Oh, no, stop that.
He's a great writer. You guys ought to look him up if you don't know.
Anyway, this isn't about me.
I've got all your books.
Oh, thanks. So does my mom. Okay, so we're going to start really quickly with a lightning round of questions, just so you guys can get to know a different side of our esteemed panel here. Actually, before we do that, do you want to introduce yourselves? Is there anything that formal that you want to do, or do you assume that people know who you are?
Does everyone know who we are? Are you sure? That's Michael Simmons, producer, legendary guy. John Borak on the drums, Clifford Ulrich on the bass and vocals, Larysa Bulbenko on the viola. It is a viola, not a violin. Except for when it is a violin.
I do play violin
You
on
do
at
play
least
violin.
one song on
You
this
sure
album.
do. You play a lot of violins on that song, but usually viola.
2 songs on this album.
Yes, correct. Christina Bulbenko,
My mom.
vocals.
He had to think about it.
And this guy.
Rex Broom. All right, we're going to start with a lightning round of questions. I would love everybody to chime in. I will be keeping score. What's your favorite Halloween candy?
The chocolate eyeballs.
Ooh, Laffy Taffy.
Jujubes.
I actually like the candy corn that most people hate.
Waxy.
I agree.
Me. Just give it to me if you don't like it.
I hate the candy corn that Cliff likes. I like a bite-sized Almond Joy.
I think Cliff will trade you.
My opinion doesn't matter, but yes, I think candy corn and circus peanuts are heinous. But I never eat candy, can you tell?
All right, the correct
Pez.
answer.
I like Pez, okay?
Pez is good, yeah.
The,
What head?
Oh, no, don't eat it.
Yeah, never mind.
the correct answer was Butterfinger. Crosby, Stills, Nash, or Young?
Young.
You got to hand the mic over.
Controversial.
I'll say Stills because he said young.
Pass.
Too young. Young.
Young, and it's not even close.
I did this as an FMK. I wrote it down so I wouldn't get it wrong. I would F Cros, marry Nash, kill Stills, and leave Young out of it.
It's very
Brilliant.
nice. Very
Brilliant.
nice.
Young was the correct answer, so you guys did great. What is your favorite magic trick?
Pepper's Ghost.
Water torture.
That's what?
What?
It's where they lower the guy in the shackles down into the aquarium, and he has to get out before he loses air. It's really tense.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. I like when a dove appears out of nowhere, because I like when birds are around.
Why do birds
Why do birds suddenly...
I have always relied on the kindness of studio magic.
Thanks, Michael.
I've got to follow you like every time, don't I? That's going to be tough. Man. Magic, I made my paycheck disappear. I don't know.
My favorite magic trick is called Flex Time. For those of you who don't use Logic Audio, it's called Auto-Tune. Oh, bro. Bro.
We're going to start on that end. Mike,
what was the right
coffee
answer?
or tea?
Was there a correct answer?
Please, now.
Energy drinks.
That's not one of the choices.
That's mine.
Coffee.
What's your
Co-
favorite flavor of energy drink?
Coffee in the morning, tea every other time.
Coffee.
I like both, but I have coffee every day, so I guess there's that. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of coffee.
The correct answer was Butterfinger.
Butterfinger with coffee is pretty delicious. The morning after Halloween, that is a special dad treat. When the kids are still a treat,
Powderfinger is even better than Butterfinger.
it's a whole different kind of interview, buddy. If you could snap your fingers and have one superpower, what would it be?
Oh, do-overs. Like rewind 45 seconds. Rewind to any amount, but even 45 seconds would help a hell of a lot, really.
Invisibility. I like to live vicariously.
Transformation, probably.
The ability to speak in front of people.
What was the question again?
I don't know.
What's your favorite?
If you could snap your fingers and have
Superpower.
one superpower, what would it be?
That was Butterfinger. No. I'd snap my fingers and...
Someone's gonna say it.
I would snap my fingers and have my mom and dad here today.
I would like whatever superpowers gave me rock star physique, like most of you.
If we keep saying Butterfinger over and over again, I'm looking at my kids. I know someone's going to say Butterfinger these nuts.
Mustache, beard, or sideburns, Mike?
All three. There it is.
Goatee is the best answer, yes.
Sort of right in the middle. There's triangulated.
Yeah.
Van Dyke, what did you say?
Or Maury Amsterdam, one of those.
I know who Maury Amsterdam is.
I'm going mustache.
I say whatever floats your boat.
I can't grow any of those things, so it's like, I guess, like, depends on the person.
The mustaches are in right now.
Yeah. Like a
They're all
70s
the
mustache.
rage.
70s mustache, yeah, right?
You can do it, buddy.
No.
Believe in you.
How's it gonna be?
You just gotta like push really hard.
How's it gonna be blue though? That seems like really hard to dye.
Modern technology.
CG, AI, an AI mustache.
Wait, your hair is dyed?
No comment.
Christina, what is your spirit animal?
Owl.
Owl. Why?
Wisdom.
Nice.
Quietude.
Invisibility.
Invisibility. They can rotate. Just like The Exorcist. Can that be enough?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
No, thank you.
Oh, same question?
Sure.
Oh. I guess I feel like I'm pretty cat-like sometimes. I'm social, but not always, and like to do my own thing a lot of the time, but also love to be around people.
Me next. Maury Amsterdam.
Moray? Eel, Amsterdam?
Well, I was going to say an eel.
Well, I was going to say Rosemarie,
it's-
but you just screwed that up for me.
Well, it's got to be an acoustic eel, though. I don't like these electric eels.
What was the... spirit animal. Oh, God, I don't know. Probably a chihuahua, because we've got two at home.
My spirit animal is your mom.
My mom specifically?
Sure.
Or just in general?
You brought her up. I didn't.
I drew a little manta ray over there on the artboard, so that's mine.
We're not live streaming this, right?
Oh,
No.
no. Don't worry, it'll get all fixed in post.
Thank you, Jesus.
John, can you give me the directions to Octoberland?
Turn left to Greenland.
Is that everybody's answer, essentially?
It's the only answer.
It's the only-
Turn left to Greenland.
I think that the track list to the album, it like just comes up in your GPS.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
You know, like the next one is, like Green Hellfire at the 7-Eleven.
Dark.
Yeah, something like that.
All right, do you guys feel like you know a little bit more about these guys now?
It's in Burbank.
All right.
I feel like I know less.
Yeah, me too.
I know some things I didn't want to know.
Yeah, Butterfinger. Okay. Well, like I said, the new album is fantastic. The playing is incredible. The songwriting is really great. I already told Mr. Simmons over there how much I love the production. I think it sounds really good. So I wanted to congratulate you guys on that. And just start to get a feel for how the record came together. Did you guys approach this album any differently than your previous releases?
We did. We wrote it all at the same time and then began to record it. But Rex is more eloquent than I am, so I'm going to hand the mic over.
But Christina's more eloquent than I am. This is the first time that we wrote all the songs together. There was nothing that had been, previously written or anything like that. And so the beginning of the writing process was us taking the vague little ideas that we had, shaping them all together, kind of bouncing between one song and another. And as we did that, ideas kind of crossed over from one song to another. Imagery started to kind of also cross over. We started to just get the vibe, and it got us. We felt like it was kind of like world building as much as songwriting, and that gave us this framework for each of the songs to kind of relate to each other.
And then in each of the songs, things arose that informed the next song. So there were tropes and myths and omens and worlds and
themes.
So it was a matter of us kind of getting those things all lined up. The song sequence, it sequenced itself. The sequence really never changed from that writing period, which was September, October of 2022. Then we took it to the band, hoping they would like it. And
then they layered their magic on top of it before we gave it to Michael Simmons, who layered his magic on top of it.
So it felt very different. It felt very much like it was of a piece, and in some ways, the first record that we approached, knowing all of the strengths and the weaknesses of the band to avoid, like what made this band, and what we can do that maybe other bands can't do. And most of that had to do with creating a sense of time and space that was sort of defined by the unique qualities of this male and female harmony that goes all the way through it. The instrumentation, which is, we have strings on every song, and we have more strings on this record. I think everyone, yeah.
And maybe less strings than some previous albums, because I feel like I have locked in when I need to step back a little bit. I
think that
I feel like I had to learn that.
I think we all needed to sort of learn that a lot about arranging in terms of trading off, leaving some space, letting the fact that a searing psychedelic viola solo has a lot more impact when it comes along every 3 songs. And there's so many other things that you can do. There's just a lot that happens in this band that doesn't happen in a lot of other bands. And we thought, let's put all the quirk forward and let the songs also do that sort of thing too. So yeah, it was a very different approach, and probably the one we were supposed to be doing all along.
Everyone but John was nodding about the quirk. I find that interesting.
You've spoken a lot about world building in the interviews that I've read and heard so far. And I think that it creates a sort of larger presence for this record than even on your previous records, which always hung together really well. So when you talk about sequencing the album as you wrote it, talk a little bit about the connections between the songs. How did they inform each other? How did the whole album come together as a whole?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like a lot of the mythology started with Snake Island 13.
Exactly. No, that's actually true.
So the song that was written as a benefit for the war in Ukraine, it was about an island that it turns out has a lot of Greek mythology centered around it. And these guys started writing lyrics about that, and all these themes about snakes and Greek gods and warriors came up, and we were like, oh, that's kind of a cool idea. And
I would say that, like, some of that started on when we did a few really crazy songs on Incognito, things like Oma, Bring Your Light Into This Place, where we felt like we could do these really big, weird things. Because why not? I mean, who's going to stop us? And increasingly, things like Snake Island came to our attention because of the incident where, at the very beginning of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, it's a pretty iconic incident where these two Russian warships pulled up to the island, told a very small garrison of Ukrainian soldiers to surrender, and their response over the radio was, Russian warship, go fuck yourself. And we thought, in reading this about the mythology of the island where this happened to take place, these sort of things where, a meme takes off, it's not that different from the oral tradition that got us those myths to begin with. And increasingly, the other songs that we were writing were tapping into these storytelling traditions that we thought were kind of a good way for people to connect in ways that they often don't these days. Like there's this... we can actually connect by shared storytelling traditions, shared songwriting traditions, these sort of things. We just wanted to bring that all to the surface, kind of have it all happening at once and be in this sort of timeless space, which we eventually, in the process of writing about all this, gave a name to the place, Octoberland. So, yeah, that's part of it, I think.
So, Mr. Simmons, when a band comes to you with such a wholly realized vision for the album, does that change how you approach the production?
Well, I was over at their pergola listening to it, and I'd been there many times listening to other things they've done, and I'd play them stuff that I'm working on. So it's kind of like, okay, I'll listen to it. Let's go. And what I like about their songs is hearing about, because like I'm not a lyrics person. So, but obviously that's kind of where they live, and going like, what is that? Or sometimes the titles are funny. So that always, whenever I see a funny title on anybody's record, I'm always drawn to that, wondering what the hell is that?
And you always change the words and make it funny.
Yeah, it's a good idea. So there's always a lot of that going on. And then they played me their demos, it's kind of fun to be able to sit there and ask them about it. And the whole time I'm listening to it, I'm kind of like, I kind of want to work on this, because I'm kind of OCD. I used to work at a record store when I was young, and to this day, if I go shopping for records, I'm cleaning up the bin as I shop. Any of you guys do that? Do you know what I'm talking about? No? Good. Yeah, I'll resort them and I'll stack them and everything. So when I'm listening to music, and I'm a teacher too, so every time I'm listening to anything anyone does or watching a video, I start analyzing, like, what can I fix? It's just kind of how my brain works now. It's a drag, actually. And I'm listening to it and going, oh, I know what I would do here. So, and I realized later, much later, I'm like, they set me up. They set me up.
You walked right into the trap.
And they keep doing it, and I keep walking into it.
And we love you.
Yeah. The bill's coming. No, I'm kidding. I'm sorry, I probably didn't answer your question.
You did.
Did I?
It was a fantastic answer.
Well, all right then, cool.
So for all of you, including Simmons, how and where what was the record recorded? Was it recorded in different locations at different times, or was it recorded all at once?
Well, the demos were all recorded at my house, in the band room. And then after that, some of it was recorded in our house and Michael's cottage and Michael's house.
Yeah, generally first of all, I got the demos and they sent me all that stuff. And my thing is always like, well, we can start there, and instead of just starting from scratch, I kind of like cleaned up the demos and moved them around and made sure and kind of like molded them into something as a framework that we could build on top of. And then it was just a matter of like primarily getting John over, which he came over to my place where I've got a kit set up. Except for one tune, we did them all that way. And he just kind of came over and we just drummed for like 2 days. Yeah, and there was blood and weeping and gnashing of teeth.
Oh, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful time of camaraderie. And...
The blood was mine, the weeping was mine, the gnashing of the teeth was his.
100% me.
A lot.
Yeah, but that's basically what happened, but honestly, for the most part, like all the guitar, bass, vocals, most of them, and everything Larysa did, most of that they did that on their own, and they engineered that themselves. And it would be like, Mike, there's more tracks. Put them into the okay. So I just kind of kept getting stuff from them and adding it and sending mixes out. But then we did get together. And went up to my cabin for like a week to we're going to do the vocals now. You mean the vocals we already did? Yeah, we're going to do those again. Okay. And then we did that. And then I think we did them again.
We did them again.
A lot of them happened again.
Yeah.
But, it'd be like, it's done. No, it's not.
Yeah. I mean, but I think there were a couple different places, but as opposed to a lot of albums, I think it was one session. It just took a year and a half. It wasn't sort of like, this song has been done here, we set this stuff up, and then we wrote this other one. It was all it was all written, and then we would record some of it there and some of it there, but it's definitely, there's, as opposed to being, we rolled from place to place, we were kind of working on everything at once wherever we were.
Yeah, but I never recorded Cliff, I don't think.
No.
Other than, I got him doing even more so.
Yeah, you did get that, that's true, yeah. Which is just a highlight.
So, Michael, how would you describe the Armoires music to somebody who has never heard it before?
We're waiting.
It's very like I said, it's intellectual. I think it's very literate, and I've come to find that it's a little witchy too.
Yes,
but it's actually a lot of fun. But that's just the thing. There's a lot of onion layers to it. So the more you kind of live there, the more you kind of find you dig around. And yeah, they were going to call it, focaccia, and I'm like, really, you're going to use another weird Italian name? And yeah, okay. And then we were recording the last track, and I did this little. They all went out to have a smoke. And I thought, and I was working on vocals and cleaning some stuff up before they came back, and there was this thing where they just sang Octoberland, and then I grabbed the mic while they weren't looking, and I just stacked 5 vocals on top of it and made it this big, carpenter's chord. You know what I'm talking about?
Although the magic weird note in there is one that Christina was singing already.
Probably, yeah. But it's just and then I came back and I did a thing.
So here's the other thing, though. He doesn't know that everything he does like that is also part of the trap, because that was totally planned for him to do that.
Of course.
Just like it was totally planned for him to do the George Harrison slide guitar on This Good Time to Come back down from the cold. And it's just, I sometimes will eventually tell him to do it, but usually he just does it anyway. And I'm like, okay, cool.
Well, yeah, it's like Rex just thinks it, and then Michael just does it.
It's witchcraft, bro.
I put it up into the crowd.
I'm telling you. So to answer your question, witchcraft.
Witchcraft, 100%.
So, how would you describe Mr. Simmons' production style being in the band?
It's dope, yo.
Also witchcraft.
Also witchcraft.
Bitchcraft.
I think he's definitely
Only the drums, bro.
he's definitely cleaned up a lot of our playing, even not just editing cleaning up, but influencing us to play better and be more on top of it. Because I feel like it took a long time for us to get to a point where we could record a track and be happy with it. And I think, at least personally, I got to that point a little bit more with this album, and part of that was the pressure of sending it to you.
That's so funny. Well, you can just beat yourself up and do something 18 times, or you can take the decision to do it one time and spend 5 minutes kind of fixing it and making it perfect. It's really just kind of a decision. And if you've got a whole album to get done and all these busy people involved, it's kind of let's just fix this. So sometimes we just did that. And I remember listening to old Armoire stuff, and I was just kind of that's awesome. We need 2 of that. We don't need 1. We need 2 or 3 passes of the same thing to thicken it up. I mean, that's how ELO did it. They don't just have 1 violin. They would record that part 4 times, because they couldn't afford 50 people or 80 people. They only had the 2 or 3 guys. So it was kind of some of that, and also like this magical thing called flex time that makes sure that we're all in tune.
We all love the flex time.
And just making things kind of like shore up together and be a little more precise and a little more locked in. And technology helps with that a lot.
But I also think your production style is more instinctive and empathetic than normal.
Yeah. There's a lot of little things, like when I'm listening back, I'm like, oh yeah, we threw that little, like we stopped, like the band stopped and we went, or
I feel
zoom.
like you add a lot of character.
Yeah.
You do. The layers that... Go ahead.
I'm remembering You Ought to Be Cut in Half. We were kind of talking through, like, we were like, this could be a little bit more fun. We could have more stuff going on. And I feel like you added a lot of that with the pizzicato. You moved it around and made more little melodies. It was great.
And there's some crazy vocals in that and some backwards crap going on.
Yeah.
It's just like, where can we, like, if you get a dumb idea, like, let's just try it real fast. And I'm fast. That's my thing. I don't spend waste a lot of time on crap, but just if I can do it in 5 minutes, I'll try it.
We did a little bit of Simmons produced us on maybe a third of the tracks on our Incognito record, which was a very eclectic record. It was recorded all over the place, all kinds of different contexts. But working with him, I think we learned how to give him what he needed too. That reshaped us. Christina and I talk about this a lot. That process was like, oh, this is a lot cleaner than a lot of what we do with a lot of other people. And not only did that mean we could trust him to do that for us, it meant that we could train ourselves. Because I always think the arrangement stuff we do at the end is really cool now. You know, Larysa and I, when we're doing the leads at the end, we know we've lived with the songs a lot. We pull a lot of stuff from the vocal melodies, from the keys. And decide how we're going to go back and forth, and then Simmons doesn't get like, oh, I've got to edit all this stuff. It's actually pretty.
You have to have a good skeleton, like I said, a good foundation where everything lays on, and then it's just once that's feeling pretty good, then the rest of it's just kind of candy. But if your foundation's kind of a muddy mess, you get kind of lost in it, I think, and that's true of any kind of art, even if you're making a painting, same deal.
Was there a muddy mess on the demos?
Well, it wasn't in time, I can tell you that. Their timing was kind of everywhere. But that was the fun thing. It was like, well, let's get this clean and then it was like, okay, this is ready for John now, and we're like, John, here. And that was kind of where that was kind of how
it got muddier.
Well, it sounds like the perfect case scenario in my experience with recording where the relationship with the producer was collaborative. It's almost like he was another member of the band in helping create this collective piece of art. Is that a fair assessment?
Nailed it. Yeah, absolutely fair assessment.
I played her glissandos.
He did. And a lot more.
And I think that was especially kind of a key thing because it's a very band record. There's not, and that was very much by design. We've done a lot of really collaborative records with a lot of guests. That was our way of showing off, you know, our community connections with all these other people, and it was fun. And sometimes we had a lineup that was in flux. This lineup is not in flux. This is the band, and this is the platonic ideal of this band. And we really wanted it to be like every song is just us playing, and of course the only exception to that is when you have a really empathetic producer. So you're looking at everyone who played everything right here, with the exception of Miranda Broom, who played bass on one track as well,
and don't forget
Jared Jenkins
on cello.
Jared Jenkins on cello, because Larysa just really wanted to do a quartet on one song.
And on Here Comes the Song, that one felt like it should be kind of grand. So Rex wrote out the parts to a string quartet.
Simmons wrote the first draft, then I wrote the second draft, then you told me how to do things for real for a string quartet because you reminded me that a cello isn't a bass, and that was really cool. And then we sent it back to Simmons, and then we printed up. So that's Larysa playing 2 first violins, 2 second violins, 2 violas, And then Jared Jenkins came walking by Christina's house, and we knew he played cello, and we ran out onto the street and said, come by and play the cello parts tonight.
The witchiness just continues. They like conjured him.
Summon a cellist.
It's a good thing a tuba player didn't walk by the house.
Next record.
They told me I was just coming down here for drinks and food. I didn't. Okay, so Simmons, I don't feel like I can ask the band this, so I'm going to start with asking you. What are one or two of your favorite tracks on the record?
Oh, gosh. Well, first of all, Music and Animals was a big one right off the bat. I heard that, and it has this quality that I call, driving the Autobahn at night. I don't know what that means. It means something to me, but I don't know if it means anything to anyone else. But it's just kind of got that vibe to it, and it just gave me the feels. And then when I heard what it was about, it was like, oh, yeah. So that's. I kind of like all of them for a reason. I really like the way Swede starts with that little synth thing that we've got going on, that little percolation. That made me really happy. Tell me out. Well, Here Comes the Song is great with the string section and everything, how that worked together, and what a chorus that has. Then that bridge, too. And the Ridley song is great. It's all.
You don't have to list all the songs.
I know.
Those
Sorry.
are favorites.
I mean, at this point, if he leaves one off, you're like, oh, you didn't like that song.
No, it's all good. It's all
Yeah.
good.
It all sounds amazing. So I was totally kidding. I'm going to ask the band. John, what's your favorite song?
Honestly, it changes from day to day. Today, I would say You Ought to Be Cut in Half.
I love that one.
Is my favorite. Kind of reminds me of Robin Hitchcock. I'm a big Robin Hitchcock fan.
Yeah, that was actually the correct answer to what's your favorite magic trick. Go ahead.
Robin Hitchcock?
Being cut in half.
Oh, you ought to be. Oh.
There will be
Yeah.
callbacks. I'm just making sure you guys are paying attention.
Well, that's the one.
Am I supposed to say? Favorite songs? I guess probably between this one's for the Swedes and Ridley and Me in the Apocalypse. Yeah. But I like them all.
He likes them all. I think I also probably had the most fun with You Ought to Be Cut in Half, and that one gets stuck in my head regularly. Yeah, I really enjoyed making that one extra weird. It was great. But Music and Animals, also super catchy, very uplifting, and makes me feel good.
Yeah, they're all our babies, so it's really hard to choose. And it changes from day to day, like John said. But I think it's a good time to come back down from the cold. Always makes me misty-eyed still after hearing it, 2.5 years later.
That chorus.
Thank you. And Ridley and May was probably the most fun I had on that song, singing it and performing it, playing the synth riff. But I love them all. Like, honestly, I can't choose.
Yeah, I mean, I can only echo everyone's sort of. Yeah, I feel like we haven't sat down and listened to the whole record all the way through for a long time, as one doesn't at this stage, But we've done so twice in the last 2 days. So to me, both times I found I was it was that journey, which is different from any of our regular records. I'm not at any point when we're listening to it thinking, and that's when we went to that studio and did that thing. Or that was a song that we had a long time ago. It sounds pretty good. It's the arc, because there's for 2 years that arc has been the same, So there is a certain point in the record where it gets nuts for me, and we kind of, these guys talked a lot about the side 1 to side 2 arc, but when we get to Snake Island 13. It does throw me back to those early days of the Ukraine war, and it's inescapably like this really emotional thing when that song ends, and then It's a Good Time to Come Back Down from the Cold is kind of our assessment of how we've dealt with all this stuff that we've kind of been through,
Sort of ties the whole album up until that point together, I think.
Yeah, and that does hit me right there. And then Music and Animals is a song that just dropped out of the sky at the end of the songwriting process.
And it just comes in to give you a big old hug.
It gives you a big hug. It wubs you. That song wubs you so very much. And I feel it, yeah. So
It invites you to Octoberland.
Exactly.
It does.
Rex said the other day if he felt that if we were to leave any song behind in the world and we only had one we could choose, it would be Music and Animals.
Yeah.
Wow, that's powerful stuff.
That doesn't necessarily mean it's our best or anything like that, but it's sort of like that's the one song that, like, if we were an organism that was created to put one thing into the world needed, it would be that song for sure, I think.
Because you brought it up, did you think of this in terms of side A and side B when you were putting the record together?
It sequenced itself basically while we were doing it, and like I said, each song informed the next and the next and the next, and it was sort of a journey of addressing all of these things that we were feeling, but also, I mean, to the point when it gets to the point where you're sort of being beaten up by hard stuff, you know. Even though it's pretty on the outside, but the words are sort of harsh and the feelings are sort of harsh, it sort of builds to a point where it sort of comes to a point of almost bursting, and then it's a good time to come back down from the cold. And then how do we get by in this world? Music and Animals. So it's just sort of an arc. And side one ends with... well, you tell this best.
Well, here comes the song, which it seems a lot of people peg it as, not like genre-wise incorrectly, sunshine pop, but it's a pretty dark song. And then I always think, I don't know if we thought of it as having a sequence. And I think side A, side B is baked into a lot of us, So it's like if you're thinking of a story, it's going to probably fall into a 3-act structure. If you're thinking of an album that has a sequence, it's going to have a side A, side B. And we did like this idea that Here Comes the Song kind of leaves you in this place of, God, what just happened? And I'm going to turn the record over right now, and what's the next song? It's got to be something much more pleasant than, oh, shit. You ought to be cut in half. This is going to be like violent and horrible and vindictive and grudgeful. And then it just comes to bum 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 bum. Oh, hey. So it's meant to subvert your idea of what you're looking at, what the title is, and what it sounds like. And that sounded like a really good trick for when you turn it over on the side too. So that for sure, yeah.
He tricked you again.
I felt it. Yeah. Can you explain?
No, he did. That's exactly right. Because I told you, I see titles and I go, I got to know what this song is.
Yeah.
You ought to be cut in half. This sounds gruesome.
Yeah.
Really grisly. And then it's like, no. It's all about, and I go, is this about me? Because I've got the sciatic nerve pain and all those other things you mentioned.
That's so funny because that's the first thing John said. Is that song about me?
But it's also kind of like, it also sounds like really screwed up. Like, you're a loser. Look at you. But then it's like, well, no, if you could just cut your legs off and float around, you'd probably be a lot more happy, and I can't agree more. Just my head, actually. Just a floating head would work.
I mean, it really is a song of encouragement. It is it's helping someone see that they're
bogged down.
They're bogged down. They're maybe, the strategies that are getting them by are also actually taking their toll, and it's saying relinquish those things.
What? Wait, is this song about me?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, okay, wait. We have to jump ahead a couple questions here because you guys are like some of the nicest, most community-oriented people on the international pop scene. And I've already said working with you is a real pleasure. And getting to know you and the projects we've worked on, it's not a facade. You guys are genuinely kind-hearted people. And it's a pleasure to be able to be involved with you in that way. But when I saw this record, I was like, Green Hellfire at the 7-Eleven? You ought to be cut in half, which is about me. Sickening Thud. And I wanted to ask, is this a cry for help or a peek at the dark truth behind the paisley curtain?
That's so funny. Well, Green Hellfire was something that actually happened to Rex and Miranda on an eventful night. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I mean, as a general thing, I think I told Christina this out. I'd rather be and live as a kind and respectful person whose art reflects some of the rougher aspects of reality than to be a complete asshole who sings about peace and love all the time.
True.
And I think that there's just a lot of... this record started from a darker place than it ended in. There was a lot of us asking the question that is actually best embodied by Here Comes the Song, and comes from our business stuff too, which is there any point to trying to make art in the modern world? Is this good for people? Is it perhaps... Like, everyone's always says, yeah, just be expressive. It's wonderful. Just make stuff. And sometimes you're like, I think people are hurting themselves by trying to do that. And we were wondering if that was the case.
So it is about the darkness behind the paisley curtain.
It was us genuinely asking ourselves that question. And I mean, like, if you look at it like a science project, it was like, problem. Should you make art in the 21st century? Hypothesis? Maybe, but only if you do it, or for at least for us, if it's done collaboratively as part of a community and empathetically. So it's not like, I'm going to put out a record because I'm so great and I'm going to be angry if people don't like it or anything like that. It's like, instead, it's find the people, find the community, find the tribe that can realize something that's bigger and cooler, frankly, than anything you would do yourself, and take your own ass out of it and let it become its own thing, because that's the best. That's probably going to be... everyone can make a great sounding record of a pretty textbook
Anyone can
thing.
cook.
Yeah.
Not everyone.
I mean, not everyone. A great number of people. A shocking number of people. So what's important, what's compelling to me about the artists we like and what we think we have to offer is that quirk, that uniqueness, and only when you sort of zero in on something that is unique are you going to create something compelling and that people are going to notice. So hypotheses. Yeah, if we do this empathetically and collaboratively, there might be a point to it. Process. Call up Simmons, make a record, but keep the focus. Like make sure it's that you understand it's this ambiguously androgynous entity with its own weird little sound. Don't feel like I've got to prove we really rock on this one, and this one's gonna remind people of someone else. Just build that world.
Wait, so the thing being cut in half in that song title is art and commerce?
No, that's a dude.
Oh,
that's
okay.
you.
Yeah,
that's you. Remember? Yes.
Yeah. Right. I feel like, as somebody who left the super lucrative world of rock and roll drumming to become an indie writer, I have a lot of opinions about this. But
No, I get
we're
it.
going to talk more about your songs, because you guys have you've kind of spoken about your favorites. I'm going to ask you about a few of my favorites. This one's for the Swedes. Absolutely hypnotic. I really love the groove in that song. So if you guys wouldn't mind telling me what's the story behind that song.
Well, we went on a little tour with our friends Indeed that were on the label early on. They're from Sweden. And they came and we went to San Diego and Fresno and was it Sacramento? No, it was San Francisco. No, I can't remember now. It might have just been Fresno and San Diego. And Tarzana.
Yeah, a couple places in and around LA.
Yeah, and those things in the song actually happen. They're documenting our experience on tour with the Swedes. And tak actually means thank you in Swedish, but that melon salsa everybody remembers. But Cliff and John should talk a little about this experience.
Well, Cliff and I rode together on that tour in Cliff's car, and it was about, 700 degrees, I think, and your air conditioning was broken. That's what I remember. But it was really cool sharing that experience with you, and Cliff and I got to know each other better, and we talked, and we hung out, and we had fun. And, but yeah, some of the things that were mentioned there, that melon salsa was at a restaurant in Bakersfield,
Just
right?
outside Bakersfield.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, like the melon salsa you buy at Costco is very fruity and very good. I dug my chip into that sucker and popped it in my mouth, and oh my God, it was like the cartoon, when your face turns red and your head explodes. That was the most insane salsa I've ever eaten, and little did I know it would end up in a song, but there it is.
Cliff, tell them about you have Swedish heritage and all that.
I have Swedish heritage and all that. No, it was fun. I really loved everybody in the band. They were really cool. I even brought some old photographs, family photographs that had Swedish, captions on the back, and I had no idea what they said. And they told me some of what they said, and they said I shouldn't know some of the other stuff, probably.
And and as part of our whole album theme, I mean, that's a song about us as a creative collective moving along on a tour with another creative collective, and how we kind of like night by night sort of inspired each other. Well, maybe we didn't inspire them. Maybe they were just really good. But they certainly, like, every time we would watch them, we would be like, that's what it feels like. And the more and more shows we did like that, we sort of got to this point of... I remember telling Christina at the last night of that tour... that this is the best thing ever. I mean, like, this is really the best thing that exists in life, is like, two or more artistic collectives kind of out of the realm of the regular world.
Playing music with your friends.
Yeah, that is the life I love. So I can't wait. Never mind.
To get on the road. Thank you, Billy. We'll call you.
It's basically our love story to the Swedes.
Yeah. And the collaborative... in the collaborative process, again, it's that just keeps surfacing no matter what we're talking about in this record.
And the levitating, we really felt like they were levitating off the stage when they were performing. It was magnificent.
Did that have anything to do with the spicy fruit salsa? Or?
It could have been.
Yeah.
Very easily, quite likely.
I feel like we absolutely mean it. To me, sounds like the perfect distillation of the Armoires sound. What inspired you guys to write a psych pop manifesto?
It was time. I think every band needs one.
Certainly.
We were just introducing ourselves as, the Armoires. This is what we sound like. This is what we aim to do. And we're going to go big. We are the Monkeys. We are Devo. But it's also describing our ambiguous androgyny.
Yeah, I feel like it took us a while to feel cohesive. We kind of explored a lot of different sounds through previous albums, and for this one, we were like, okay, we actually know what we sound like now. We know what sounds like the Armoires, as opposed to some people who play music.
Yeah.
Some weird songs. And that kind of all came together with two vocals, switching who's on top, who's singing lower.
And we just talk about it. It's very meta. I mean, we in the process of declaring it, we talk about all that stuff, and I think it's one of numerous things on this record that are meant to be an embrace of the absurdity of rock and roll. Hey, let's have a theme song. How ridiculous is that? Let's see if we can do that and also make it actually be good. And
yeah, I mean, it's great, but you guys play the earnestness straight ahead. You don't shy away from the earnestness. Was that a balancing act for you?
Well, we wanted the joy to be there.
Yeah, it's there.
But we also wanted the other stuff to be there.
I mean,
we chant, We count.
We do
we
counting
spell.
on Green Hellfire. We spell on Ridley and
They're doing
the
spells, Mike.
Apocalypse.
They're admitting
We
it.
have nonsense choruses that are on a very dark song. It was a balancing act, but
I mean,
it
there are
is
jokes in
sincere.
that. There are jokes in that song.
And quirk.
Recommended if you like Sunshine Pop, College Rock, and Psych. I mean, that we're sort of grabbing from our day jobs, like, okay, well, what do we put in the RIYL section, So it's sort of like, well, let's just go ahead and put it in there. That's ridiculous. So, I mean, there are jokes. So it's like, I would say that song is both tongue-in-cheek and sincere somehow. I mean, that was the intention.
It was meant to be fun, but also declaratory.
Comes across. Larysa, you mentioned earlier about the sound and the cohesion of the band coming together on this record. Your viola playing on the albums is always one of my favorite things about the songs.
Thank you.
Actually had a moment earlier when we were listening to the record where I was like, it's incredible. On This One's for the Swedes, it kind of plays the sitar part. Like if this was a little bit more of a psych song, that would be the sitar part.
I really like doing the kind of psychedelic stuff. I want to play with more effects, but I haven't really done that yet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it definitely works, but it's not like you're trying to sound like a sitar, but you can get that sense from that if you're not really paying very close attention to it. But I would like, as the youngest member of the band, I would like to know how you explain this music to people in your circles, so your peer group.
Some of them are here.
I don't do a good job of explaining.
Yeah.
I think I usually just throw out some words like, it's kind of folksy, but kind of not. It's psychedelic, it's ethereal, it's wall of sound sometimes. It really just varies so much from song to song, and it's kind of hard to describe.
Well, I think it's obviously very rooted in 60s and 70s music to a degree, but then, I mean, immediately calls to mind New Pornographers, which is, current century. So is that music that you like as well? Is that music that you listen to as well personally?
To be honest, not really. Okay. I think I listen to a lot of, new psych, which has definitely been inspired by a lot of those bands. But yeah, I'm ashamed to not be educated in the songs and the artists that these guys all love and listen to.
But that brings a freshness to what we do that makes it never be by the numbers either. Larysa, for those of you that don't know, is also in does a lot of stuff musically, but is also in an old time band called Old Corn Lickers. Played a lot.
We played this morning.
Literally played
dedication.
This morning. The old time and the bluegrass and the traditional stuff. So she brings that, but she also does do the folk stuff. And then I always feel like there's some songs where we just do parts. There's the loose songs and there's the parts songs. And I don't even know what to call what we're playing on that. Something.
Cliff, your bass playing on all the Armoires music is fantastic, and always super solid. But I kind of, as I zeroed in on this record and certain songs on this record, it feels to me like you're always kind of quietly doing something interesting. So I was wondering if you felt any sort of sense of progression or a different approach to this album versus previous albums.
I think I just did a better job was really concentrating on rhythm. I would probably wish I could have done a few more interesting, harmonic things or something like that. But then again, I'm happy. I followed John's kick drum a lot. I mean, I really I just was kind of slavish to that, listening to that. Tried to actually kind of just hit right on it a lot of times.
John appreciates that, I'm sure.
Okay, well, I mean, I apprecited the parts. So
well, I'm sure Simmons appreciates it too.
All right, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure they had to get moved around a little bit to sound right, but anyway, it was, that's pretty much all I did, yeah.
Well, you guys are definitely locked throughout the album. I was actually talking to Simmons earlier and pointing out how great the drumming sounds on the record. How do you think this, John, stacks up against your previous sessions with the Armoires?
Well, the previous sessions were actually not really sessions with the Armoires. I recorded a few things for the previous album there, but a lot of it I did during the pandemic in my living room. And my kids, Kayla and Michael, were my audio engineers. I was driving them crazy. Hit the record button. Okay, now hit the pause button. Okay, now hit the record button. And yeah, they probably hated me. But yeah, it was a lot different. It was new. It was exciting. You know, recording songs for a complete album was sort of a theme. I'd only recorded, tracks here and there before with, people like Mike and other bands that I'd been in, tracks for compilations and whatnot. But, when I first heard these songs, I heard the demos and I thought, why do I even need to do anything? This sounds great the way it is. I'm just going to screw it up. No, seriously, the demos sounded so great. I'm like, so this is done, right? I don't need to do anything? You already found somebody to do something here. And I was just trying to play along to the songs because I really, really love all the tracks on this record. And, just trying to get the, keep that groove going and kind of hit hard when I was supposed to hit hard and lay back when I was supposed to lay back and have that sense of dynamics that I didn't always have when I first started out. And a lot of that I owe to Mike. Mike just taught me a lot about drumming, a lot about recording. I've been recording with Mike for, 25, 26 years here and there. And I know, a long time. You're really old.
That's why I'm so tired.
That's why you're so gray, actually. Cause,
When you guys were like 4 years old, you started recording. Right?
I was 3, he was 8, I think. But, yeah, it was just, recording the songs that I love with people who I really admire and respect and love. It was just a really cool thing.
Well, it comes across. I have 1 or 2 more questions, but before I do that, does anybody in the crowd have any questions for anybody up here on stage? If you look under your seat, I didn't put any questions under your seat.
No more crows.
All right. I do want to acknowledge the distinctive look and feel of the album because I really love the packaging. You guys always do a fantastic job with that. But if you could just tell us a little bit about how you expanded on your sort of Paisley foundation for the look and feel of this album?
Well, I think we've got the full band, 5 people up here. We have our producer. So we should probably bring on the 7th member of Team Octoberland. This is Ridley Broom. So here's Christina and her daughter. This is me and my daughter. Ridley did the design work not only for the album, but for all of the singles that led up to the album. So there were four other distinct pieces and a lot of other ancillary work. And just we went into this album knowing that we were going to kind of refresh the sound of the band and create, again, it's world building. Again, it's like this cogent time and place, and we thought there should be a visual that went along with that, and we're going to be teasing this album out with singles and videos and stuff for what's turned out to be 10 months because Music and Animals came out in December, meaning Ridley, you had drawn Music and Animals before last December, and Ridley was going to be illustrating in this style that we were kind of going to invent and just stick with. So, what up, Rid?
Hi, I'm Ridley Broom. I draw things sometimes. Sometimes that is under duress, but I do it nonetheless. This was a very long process, but I had a lot of fun, and I feel like I grew a lot as an artist in the process because I had to learn a lot of things very quickly. I've done art for singles or album covers for Big Stir a couple times in the past, but this was the first time I've really done a collection that was supposed to be cohesive. I love all the songs, so it was easy to find inspiration, and the biggest probably is the throughout all of the pieces is the Art Nouveau inspiration. You see a lot of that. It's most apparent on the album cover, specifically the one inspired by the Cognac Girl, or
yeah, Cognac, yeah.
like advertisement illustration. We have a print of it in our home. So it was like up close and personal. Went through a couple art books. Throughout all of the singles, there's a lot of like halos, just kind of circles of like repeating patterns. Usually I try to incorporate it into a sun or a moon. Sometimes it's just in the background. In the Ridley and Me one, it's behind the explosion because that's kind of like the centerpiece of there is no sun and moon. There is just this big event. So it all just kind of like culminates there. Tried to be very consistent with colors. There was
Like they're different colors, but it's usually a 2-color palette. That was kind of a thing.
Yeah, I tried to use throughout the singles. I tried to use only like one color ones throughout all of them. Sometimes the colors are complementary. Sometimes they're contrasting. So it's like you had the red and the blue with Ridley and Me. You had the green and the gold with Music and Animals. The orange and yellows of We Absolutely Mean It. And of course, Rex and I went back and forth a lot trying to figure out like what we really wanted to focus on for the like symbols of each of the signals.
Yeah, when she started doing this, the entire album was written. All the lyrics, the lyric imagery was there. Ridley was really familiar with it. And we talked a lot about, Christina and I, and Michael Simmons too. We all kind of talked about what kind of visually represented this. We sort of circled around a few different things. I remember it was going to be tarot cards at one point. And we landed on this Art Nouveau thing. And I wanted to be really careful because I don't want to torture my child. We chose something that was going to be fun for her to explore for a fucking year, she was already kind of like making this little Pinterest inspo board with color themes and not just the mukas and stuff like that, but stuff that related to that. And then it started influencing. That artwork started influencing the way we did the photo shoots, and the photo shoots started influencing the way we did the videos. And is Andrew still here? Andrew Edwards still here? They did. Like that's a great example of Andrew did the wonderful storyboards that you see in the Ridley and Me video, which people just saw for the first time today. But those were a lot of design cues that came from similar places. Some of the artwork that Ridley had already done, and the same thing was true with Brent Sievers doing the artwork for the We Absolutely Mean It video. He was fed all of Ridley's work, including stuff that hadn't come out yet, and all the lyrics. And then that influenced some of what Ridley did after that. And there was a great moment on the set for the Ridley and Me video with Ridley's in live action, but that's not her drawings in there, it's Andrew's, where Ridley was like, in order for me to look like I'm sketching the stuff that Andrew's drawing, I need to make a sketch of me sketching something that Andrew sketched based on my sketches. And I just thought that was such
so meta.
It was very meta in exactly the way this album has been. A very tight-knit community, and the ideas that evolved, and people were like really understanding where we were coming from. Our producer being like, such a big, like the apotheosis of this.
We were all thinking it, Mike.
Yeah.
Also, I gotta say, if you haven't seen the CDs yet, the CD itself looks sick with Ridley's art on it.
CD is
and
fire.
the background of the CD, buy a CD. It looks cool. It sounds great too.
You guys heard her. Buy a CD. I absolutely love that this is such a true family affair. And I mean that in a couple ways. I mean that the families that you're born into and how different people within your family units play different roles within this band. But I also mean
Michael
that...
Bobenko is photographing us
yes.
right now, as he has endlessly throughout this process.
And I love how you took that approach for your band and you turned that into the Big Stir community. Because it really does feel like when you're part of the Big Stir community that you're part of the Big Stir family. And so I thank you for letting me be a part of that.
Thank you for being a part of it.
I'm really very honored that you let me be up here on stage today throwing these ridiculous questions at you. But I will close by saying your new album is fantastic. You guys are super talented, amazing people, and it's been really great speaking with you today. Ladies and gentlemen, the Armoires.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve.
Can we get Andrew up here? And who else is directly? There's someone else here that's. Am I crazy? What's that?
There's Andrew.
There we go.
This is the
Hi.
artist from the Ridley and Me After the Apocalypse video.
And
a wonderful
yeah,
job.
so with Ridley up here, if we could, as long as we get a shot of this, this is like so close to the entire creative crew that for the entire. What's that? Miranda played the bass. Oh, Miranda! Let's have Miranda up. Yeah, Miranda. Right? Yeah, let's have Miranda up here. We are really. Yeah, and then the only, and then like the only wow.
And thank you all for coming.
We can
and listening to our album. We're really proud of what we put together, and we hope you enjoyed it.